Good morning, everyone. Welcome. It is officially Monday. Wow, that weekend went by incredibly fast. I hope you got some rest. I hope you were able to get outside, spend some time with family, some friends. And we're excited to have you here joining us this bright and cheery Monday morning. So I'm curious, where are you joining me from? Let me know in the webinar chat. If you're joining me on Facebook or YouTube, go ahead and put that in the chat box. But let me know, where are you joining me from? I am in rainy and dreary South Dakota, but it is a good day. Las Vegas, Massachusetts, New Jersey, Cape Cod. Someone says too early here. Maryland, welcome. Wherever you're joining me from, I am delighted to have you here. So today we're going to talk about those things that um, happen but don't have to define us. So we know that there are lots of times in life where things do not go the way we had planned. And so today we're going to talk about, what do we do with that? So I want to start by introducing myself. My name is Jennifer Bonner. I'm the manager of nursing services here at Archer Review. A lot of what I do is webinars, tutoring, small groups. I present in our live review, and I enjoy walking alongside students as you are headed towards that goal of passing nursing school, passing those boards, and diving headfirst into your dream career of being a nurse. And so today we're going to talk about how there are times when things don't go as we would plan, but we need to know, what do we do to be able to walk forward in that. But before we do, I want to take a look at Archer Review this week. So we're going to head on over to our tutoring page and we are going to see what's up. So there are no tutoring sessions today, but tomorrow we have all of our sessions that have been booked. On Wednesday, you're going to notice there is a small group on testing strategies. If you are someone that struggles with, how do I look at these questions? Is there a way that I can start to eliminate certain answers without even knowing if they're correct? Test taking strategies, small group is for you. This is showing in Mountain Time, but it is from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Central Time. It's going to be with Megan, and it's an hour session for only $35. So that is an amazing offering. And then it looks like her private tutoring session has been snatched up. We have a private tutoring session with the amazing Lauren Korth on Thursday. And then Friday, looks like Lauren has some sessions available then. And Saturday, we have one session available with Megan. So if you are someone that is struggling with, hey, Jennifer, I failed my NCLEX, I don't know what to do next, or man, I'm just really struggling with nursing school concepts. Maybe you're in maternity or pharmacology. These private tutoring sessions are completely individualized. We have both 30-minute and 60-minute sessions available, and we can cover whatever it is that you need. You can show up and say, hey, I need help with pharm, I need help with med surg. Or you can come and say, hey, I don't know what I need, but can you help me? And the answer will always be yes. So that is Archer Review this week. Let's go ahead and dive in. So I'm curious, how many of you are still in nursing school? Go ahead and use the raise your hand feature. How many of you are still in nursing school? Have not graduated yet? Okay, a few of you. How many of you are getting ready to take your NCLEX? Have already graduated, getting ready to take your NCLEX. Okay, that is several of you. Now, if you are someone that has already taken your NCLEX and were unsuccessful, we are going to talk about that as well today. So we know that even though we can prepare as much as we can, there are things that happen that are completely out of our control. I've had a student that emailed me and said, hey, Jennifer, I failed my NCLEX. I was completely prepared. But unfortunately, the night before, I had a family member that passed away. And those are unfortunate circumstances. Life does not stop because you're getting ready to take the NCLEX, unfortunately. And so while that student was adequately prepared, that just change in the family dynamics definitely played a role. anxiety can play a role. And so we are going to talk about it. What can we do? So we're going to start by talking about what are those reasons for failing. So like we just talked about, there are things that are outside of our control. There are things that are within our control. Sometimes we just don't prepare. If you're anything like me, you procrastinate. I am definitely a procrastinator. I'm learning to do better as we walk forward, but we need to make sure that we are adequately preparing for that testing day. There are times when we are overthinking. We are adding things to the question. We are making it more complicated than it should be. Testing anxiety. Let me know, where are my test taking anxiety buddies out there? I'm sorry that we are in a club together, but it is very, very common for nursing students, for nurses, for students in general, especially when you're getting ready to take a high stakes exam that determines the next thing that happens in your life. So in this case, it is going from being a student to becoming a nurse, being able to practice in that role. So, testing anxiety, poor study skills, cramming, all of those things can lead to this unsuccessful attempt. But remember, everyone is different. You may deal with overthinking and testing anxiety, and someone else, maybe they crammed and didn't prepare appropriately. But this is for you. So, I'm curious if you have ever failed an exam before. Maybe it's the NCLEX, maybe it's a nursing exam. Did you feel like that weighed you down for your next attempt? Did you feel like it was just kind of weighing over your head? Yes, 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 yes. Someone says, oh, yes. This is very, very common. And so I want you to think about this. Let's do a mindset reset. These things happen. Whether you didn't prepare before or it was something completely out of your control, there isn't anything that we can do to change that at this point. But what we can do is we can take a deep breath. We can relax and we can say, you know what? This is part of my story, but it's not going to define me. You are not defined by your previous exams. You are not defined by your grades. You know what's really interesting is that when you go to get a job, no one cares what your GPA was. They care if you pass the NCLEX. That gives you your license to practice. So it's okay to take that time to just have a moment of, man, this really stinks. And then get back up. Let's make a plan and let's move forward. This does not tell me who you are as a person. It doesn't even tell me who you are as a nurse. What does tell me who you are is what you do with it. Now, there are a lot of times when we just want to cross our arms and say, well, that just stinks. I'm all done. And if we're being honest, we really want to do that. We just want to say, you know what? Not doing this anymore. But what tells me who you are and the type of nurse you're going to be is how you fight to get back there. Because that tells me that when the day comes that things are difficult with your client, things aren't just coming to the surface as to what's going on. It tells me that you are going to fight to figure it out. So I'm curious, how many of you, we've talked about different things that can cause an unsuccessful attempt. I'm curious, how many of you struggle with testing anxiety? Let me know, or you can raise your hand. If you don't feel comfortable, totally fine. But how many of you struggle with testing anxiety? Because I am definitely in that camp. I am someone that is anxious if there's nothing to be anxious about. I am someone that when I went to take my boards, I showed up. I was trying to write my name and my hands were shaking so bad that you couldn't even read it. Okay. So a lot of us, especially in nursing school, we struggle with testing anxiety. But this is a performance stressor. And a lot of times it comes up with these high stakes tests and exams. So something that determines the next step, whether that's becoming a nurse, whether that is um, getting into the next class. When I was in nursing school, we took tests to get into the next year of nursing school. And that was incredibly difficult because I knew that if I didn't pass, then all of the money was lost, all of the time, and I was going to have to start all over. And so what happens is this all builds up and gets to the point where we can't remember anything. You've all seen the TV shows where somebody forgets their name. Maybe they're taking the ACT or the SAT and they can't even remember what their name is to write it down. And that is a huge sign that we have some test anxiety going on. There are times when past events can cause this. If we have failed in the past, if we just don't prepare well, these things can start to well up. So I'm curious, have you figured out what causes your test anxiety? Let me know in the webinar chat or in the chat box. What causes your test anxiety? Have you noticed? Ellen said she passed. Congratulations. That's awesome. Okay. So sometimes it's hard to define. It's hard to figure out what is it that caused it. And honestly, what happens is if we are able to identify that, that can help us to prevent it in the future. And so let's talk a little bit about test anxiety prevention. The first thing to prevent is to be prepared. To prepare for a little bit of anxiety that we know is going to occur. If we show up and just deny the fact that we're going to have any, then we may have set ourselves up for failure. We need to go in with confidence. So, confidence begins with this adequate studying and review. And here at Archer Review, we have a lot of different study options for you. We have study plans that are in the dashboard that are available. So, you know that you have done everything you can to prepare. Um, we know based on our program that you are ready to test when you have passed at least one CAT. You've gotten at minimum 80% of the way through the Q bank. You've gotten at least 4 to 5 highs or very highs consecutively in the readiness assessments, and you have completed that study plan. All of those things will set you up for success. So, when we are adequately studying, we know that we are going in knowing that we know this information. The other thing is knowing those signs of anxiety. Now, this is going to be individualized. My signs of anxiety may not be the same as yours. So I'm curious, let me know in the webinar chat if you are comfortable. What are your signs of anxiety? Mine are I get incredibly hot and apparently my face starts to turn red and I get palpitations, which is really scary. So if you don't know a whole lot about me, I've been a nurse for a really long time, and I'm actually a certified nurse midwife. So I am a mid-level provider. I'm an advanced practice nurse. And I know, just like all of you know, that palpitations is not a great sign, right? So anytime it happens, I get nervous about what else might be going on, which adds to my problem. And I see some of you and struggle with the same thing. So, when we know what our signs and symptoms are, this sets us up for success. Why? Because it lets us know, hey, guess what? Your anxiety is welling up, and it gives us the opportunity to do something about it. Okay. So, we've talked about what our signs and symptoms are. So, let's talk about how we can combat it. So, if we are prepared for some, what can we do to minimize it? It may not make it go completely away, but what can we do? So, adequate preparation. I cannot stress this enough. Giving yourself time to learn the information, to learn from your mistakes, to grow is going to be huge in this process. Taking those mock exams, the CAT assessment, the CAT exams, the readiness assessments, the CAT exams are set up to be very similar to the NCLEX. So when I tell students, hey, when you're getting ready to take your CAT exam, go to a setting that's going to be similar to the testing center. So get your whiteboard out, go to, we call it the $1.25 store, get a cheap whiteboard to be able to practice with. Get yourself your earplugs if that's something you're going to use on testing day and sit down just like you would on the day of your exam. I even tell students, hey, make sure you have all the things that you're going to need on testing day so you really can do a trial run. Pretend like you are talking to a client in labor. What would you tell them to do? Hey, go ahead, get your bags packed, do a pretend run so that on the testing day, you're not completely thrown off. And then look for support, whether that is a colleague, it's a friend, it's an instructor, one of our tutoring sessions or small group tutoring sessions. Get your support. Find out what it is that you're struggling with and see if someone can help you with that. Now, That's great for before the exam. Now we are in the middle of it. It is testing day. We are taking the exam. I want you to talk to yourself like you would talk to your best friend. So many of you know Rachel Taylor. She's our director of nursing services, and she is an amazing educator. She's an amazing nurse. And if she was getting ready to take her board exam, I wouldn't say, "Hey, Rachel, you're never going to be able to do this. You're a horrible test taker." No, I would remind her of how amazing she is and how hard she has worked for this day. I'm going to remind her of all the highs and very highs she got. I'm going to remind her of the time she spent going through the study plan. I'm going to remind her of all the tutoring sessions that she showed up to where her tutor said, "Hey, Rachel, you've got this. You're ready. Go test." Deep breathing. Y'all, this is not for just us nurses. This is for all walks of life. If you are stressed out, just take a moment and take a deep breath. And if you are anything like me, unless apparently somebody has left something in my office that does not smell great, this is just a moment that kind of helps us get out of that fight or flight. It gives us a minute to disconnect from what we are doing and helps us to focus on filling our lungs with air. It helps us think about, okay, I'm going to fill my lungs for 4 seconds. So I'm going to count. I'm going to fill that air or fill those lungs with air. I'm going to feel it coming through my nose. I'm going to take in the different smells. Hopefully, they're good ones. And I'm just going to melt back into my chair as I exhale. Okay. Releasing tension. Y'all, this is one of my very favorites. I love this one. This is where we tense up every muscle that we can find, from the top of our head to the tip of our toes. So we start in our head, squint our eyes and grit our teeth and clench our shoulders, all the way down into our abs and our legs and our toes. And then we melt. I sometimes do this when I am really, really stressed or I'm really, really frustrated, because it just helps redirect that focus. Okay, now there are several of you on here watching me make a complete fool out of myself, and that is okay. So it instead of me focus on what I am teaching right now, I am focusing on, hey, did I um just tense up every muscle I was looking for? Now, someone just popped in and said, could we put scent sticks in our nose before testing? Las Vegas is hot and some of those testing rooms smell bad. Um, as bad as a C. diff room, or would I get in trouble? So sometimes what I'll recommend is for those really difficult smells, wintergreen, just kind of under your nose, can be helpful. There are things we want to be considerate, just like when we're in the hospital setting. We don't want to douse ourselves with cologne or perfume, but just a little bit of that underneath your nose can be really helpful. Some people will infuse essential oils in their car just to kind of help them calm down as well. So the other thing that we can do during our exam is redirecting our focus. So remember, we can only take test questions as they come. We don't get to speed up the exam. We can't go backwards. So remembering that each opportunity to answer an exam question is a brand new opportunity to show what it is that we know. So I'm curious, have you used any of these strategies? Have you used any of these strategies? The next thing we're going to talk about is how to use Archer successfully. So as we've talked about, being adequately prepared is huge. So, going through the question bank, reading those rationales out loud, understanding why is the right answer right, why is the wrong answer wrong, getting to the point where you could out loud, yes, out loud, explain to a person, a make believe person, why is this right answer right? Why did you choose this one? But why did you not choose another one? Okay. Active engagement with the videos. So watching these in small sections. Now we have recently altered these to where they are smaller videos and not in big chunks. And so reflecting in each section, taking notes, writing little notes to yourself about ways to memorize things or to remember different things, like veal chop when we're talking about accelerations and decelerations in fetal heart rates. And then see if after you watch those videos, can you write down the key takeaways? Get to the point where you could explain the disease process or the topic that you just reviewed to someone else if they were sitting next to you. It's okay to take breaks, but big thing here is consistently showing up every day. So other things that can help you be successful is mind mapping, flashcards. Y'all, these are great when it comes to pharmacology. You can keep them in their car or in your car, writing things down in your own words. So while someone may have just said that fetal tachycardia is a sign that we have a non-reassuring fetal heart rate, what I might say is a high heart rate for a fetus indicates something could be wrong. Okay. Now, if someone just popped in and said, I think for me, there's so many rationales that makes me want to understand all the rationale before doing questions. Now, I definitely understand this. What I like to do is keep a notepad next to my desk. If there's something, a concept that I need to go back and remember, I'm going to write it down and try to do that by the end of the day. Now, there's something to that because our mind says, hey, Jennifer, do you remember when you took that question on fetal tachycardia and you didn't remember? And I'm always going to say, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I don't remember. But what happens is when we go back and we review that information, our mind connects those two things. And it says, hey, we didn't know this question, but we went back and reviewed it, and now we're going to hang on to it. So those are also great ways to be actively engaged in your studying. Now, I got to tell you, when I study, I am very tempted to start with the things that are easiest for me. And typically that is women's health. I enjoy it. I think it's fun. It makes sense. But really, what I do when I go to study is I start with the ones that I really don't like, that are going to be a bear. Because what happens is after those, it's a downhill slide. I know there's something at the end to look forward to. And I know those harder things are up front. So I don't have to dread it as much as we go forward. Now, I know a few of you were maybe interested in different ways of studying. I really enjoy these little maps. This one is about pharmacology, so specifically looking at hypertensive medications. So if you look here, we put what we're studying here in the middle and any major things that we need to know. Now, out to the sides, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put those major hypertensive medications. So I have my ARBs, I have my beta blockers, I have my calcium channel blockers, and my ACEs. So those are my major groups. Now, what I'm going to do is in different colors, and y'all, if I could show you my pen collection, you would see I have a problem. I'm going to write in one color, okay, what does this do? How does it work? In another color, I'm going to put examples of those medications. Now, with these, it's really important that I put in my ACEs are my prills because that's going to help me remember. My ACEs are my prills. My ARBs are my ARTANs. If you've ever studied with Lauren Korsh, she'll tell you these are the pirate medications, the ARBs, the ARTANs. My beta blockers are my laughers. They are my OLOLs. Okay. And then my calcium channel blockers, this is things like diltiazem, verapamil, things like that. And then in another color, I want to put any side effects that I need to be aware of. Now, in here, I would certainly include if there is an antidote because we definitely want to know those. Okay. So if you are getting started on your study journey, I want to recommend our SurePass combo. It is my very favorite to recommend because it has a one-stop shop. It is comprehensive. It has your questions. It has your videos. It has the 3-day live review. The 3-day live review is intended to be taken the whatever offering is before you take your exam. And it is a high yield review. Most commonly tested areas from fundamentals all the way to specialties. This is an amazing offering. Definitely scan those QR codes, check those out, and feel free if you ever um, need recommendations, you're struggling with how to study, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. It is nursing@archerreview.com. So I am curious, how many of you have used a study plan? How many of you have used a study plan? Kenzie, I see your response. If you can reach out to us at nursing@archerreview.com, we'd be certainly happy to help. Okay, someone says I'm using the 4-week plan. It is a lot. It is a lot of information condensed into 4 weeks. Yes. So typically we recommend the 6-week plan for those who've just graduated. They've taken an NCLEX prep class. We're going to recommend the 9 or the 12-week for someone that is a repeat test taker, just because it gives you more time to marinate in that information and to get it right. So, how can we be confident that this temp is going to be different? Well, some of it is going to start with a self assessment. What are we going to do differently? Have we been able to identify some areas of struggle that may have led to our previous unsuccessful attempt? Showing up, following the study plan, staying motivated. So, this is where your post it notes are going to come in handy. Putting words of affirmation, putting encouraging words around your house in the areas that you visit frequently. So, in your car, on your computer, even a backdrop, a desktop wallpaper with an encouraging note is helpful. And remember, there are days when it is going to be incredibly difficult to show up. If you have kiddos at home, maybe it's been a long night, or maybe you are trying to go between being a student and being a parent. Maybe you're taking care of aging parents or family members. Show up, do something, even if it's 10 to 25 practice questions, and actively engage with those. Remember, we are always here to cheer you on. If we can be of assistance, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. If you have questions, if you have concerns, if you just need someone to tell you, look, this is hard, but you can do it, it's worth it, we're here for you at Archer Review. It's nursing@archerreview.com, and we are absolutely excited to have the opportunity to cheer you on. Someone asked, do you pay for the 3-day live review if you have the SurePass? It is included in that combo. You do get one opportunity to join us. If you want to join again, you do pay for that one. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining me as a part of your Monday morning. It is always a pleasure getting to see you. We look forward to seeing you back next week for our next live webinar. Don't forget, we have a test taking strategies small group this week. It is $35 for an hour session. You won't want to miss it. Thanks for being a part of the Archer Review family, and happy studying.